this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Upsides and downsides of things. I've just watered every single pot in here in probably less than 20 minutes. That's probably saved me 4 hours. No, that's an upside. Oh yes, hell, that's an upside. The downside is plants didn't get checked for bugs. Yeah, so you know, it's all very well making sure things are watered. Another downside is some plants got watered twice because the water ran out of the pot from above straight down into a pot below. So some things may have had a little bit more water than they would have had, and some things may have not got quite as much, but they got some. That's good. Yeah. What else have we got? I haven't done the mounts yet. I may well water them properly, as I call it, because the sprayer, when the moss is very dry, using a sprayer, an awful lot of that water runs off before it gets a chance to soak in. Whereas if I'm watering them my normal way in my bowl, I can hold the mount sort of horizontal and pour the water over it so that the water goes right down into the moss and gives them a thorough soaking right through bark and everything. But as a temporary measure, whizzing round with the sprayer is a wonder. I mean, things like the Vandas, I can't hydrate those with the sprayer. Firstly, I'd get it all over the electrics because of where they live, and it's just as easy to throw them in the bucket, quite honestly. And then I know they've had a proper good soaking. But there's another slight downside as well. There's an awful lot of my RO water all over the floor. But then there's an upside. It means I'm not reusing water. Yeah, swings and roundabouts. I mean, I've always reused water over and over again until it runs out, basically. And I've never noticed any adverse sort of effects of doing that. That doesn't mean to say I won't get some down the line, but so far, as far as I know, an odd bug may have got washed off of one plant into the bowl and then washed into the next plant. That's if it didn't drown, of course. You know, so there are downsides, but I don't think I've transmitted diseases or moulds or even the dreaded F by reusing water. I mean, once I established the plants that had got the dreaded F and how they got it, they didn't get it in here. It was brought in from 2 distinct sources. And once I identified all of the plants from those sources, that first of all explained why I lost a lot of my cattleyas. That was before I knew. Yeah, but it explained why they just never grew properly and just ended up going downhill and eventually getting thrown out. Well, eventually I found out why. Those that were left got treated. Some of those have recovered, not all. But, you know, again, that was a hell of a learning curve. Yeah, so yeah, some pluses and some minuses. And overall, I'd say the impression is pretty good, because that would have taken a fair bit of today to do, and those hours would have run on into the point where it's going to get warm in here, because it looks like we're going to get some sunshine today, and then working out here, lifting pots, moving them, putting them back again in that heat is not that comfortable. It's okay, you know, you just slow down a bit and plod away at it, but whizzing round with the sprayer like that, you know, I'll have probably got water in new growths, which I could have avoided if I'd been doing it manually. But then I know I've got heat out here today, or I may not have done it. Or may have gone a hell of a lot more careful, shall we say. So some upsides and some downsides, but for speed, that can't be beaten. And yeah, I mean, that was just, well, it should have been a flush. But I've taken some advice, and the orchids are probably never going to get a true flush ever again. They're always going to get a little bit of CalMag in the water. Just a little. Almost so little that you've got a job to measure it. In fact, I didn't even bother, because I know that when I pour out one of my normal containers into the bowl, to get the CalMag to a TDS of around 80, it takes 1.5 of my droppers. Yeah, that's to give me a TDS of 80. Well, that thing holds 5 litres and I put 1 in. So you can do the maths, but it's a very, very low dosage, but it's a top up. It's a trickle feed, which apparently is better than a stonking dose. A trickle feed virtually every time. And I'm willing to give it a go. Simple as that. Because at that level, I don't see as it can do any harm. Now, I wouldn't do that to my mounts because I control their feed a lot more thoroughly simply because of the frequency they get watered. It's as simple as that. If I'm watering every single day, you know, they can have a low-level feed at a high pH one day, then a low pH the next day, and then a CalMag, and you know, I can swap it around so they're getting a variety of diet because it gets used on a daily basis. If it doesn't get used, it dries out, and then it would get re-wetted, if you see what I mean, which is why I keep my doses very low. It gives them a chance to use as much of it as possible and not waste it. I mean, there's quite a lot of wastage today because a hell of a lot of what came out of that sprayer has gone straight through the pots and down onto the floor. But okay, that uses more RO water, but that's quite easily replaced, you know. So yeah, I'd say I'm on the plus side, and certainly time-wise, effort, all that sort of stuff. I mean, at the moment, all the plants that are going in the drawer are obviously still in here. So I've still got to look after them and water them till the end of next week, when there'll be somebody else's problem after that. And you know, that's the reason it doesn't look that much different out here. But most of the to-go plants are sort of down in that corner. I've even tried to keep them in their sets as best I can, although it wasn't possible. I ran out of shelf space. But yeah, once those are all gone, I will rethink where things live out here and spread things out a bit. And we'll see where we go from there. But I'm quite pleased with the way the sprayer works. I mean, when that sprayer's full, 10 pumps, which is nothing, that's less than half the number my little sprayer would have needed to get any pressure at all. 10 pumps on that thing, and it lasts for half of that. So for 10 pumps I get over 2 litres out, and then another 10 pumps does most of what's left. So I'm pleased. It's effortless, it really is. So yeah, I'll put that down to a very good investment, and the first money I've spent of my YouTube money. And for those of you who are worried about me doing a giveaway draw costing me a fortune, well, the plants are surplus. I'm happy with those to go to somebody else. Happy with that. But the postage, that's coming out of YouTube money. So I'm not actually paying for it myself. So that's the sort of thing I've got in mind for the YouTube money, is to feed it back in to the hobby and the associated activities that go with it. That's the idea. It's not to go in Roger's wine fund. Mind you, if there's some left over, it might. No, I'm serious. I want to feed that money back into the hobby, the YouTube side of things, the orchids, the kit, everything like that. That's the idea. It's not for me to go and spend on other stuff. It's all supposedly earmarked for orchid-related things. Oh, we do have a new bloom today, at long last. That's Wildcat Cheetah has opened up. Still one of my favourite Oncidium intergenerics. It's waxy, sturdy, deep yellow, lovely intricate markings, a smashing blossom to have. They're not huge, let's get my hand in there, they're not huge, but they make up for it in just the depth of the colour. So I've been looking, that'll have to move now, I'll have to come over with the rest of the yellows. Oh dear, I might have to buy an orchid to get a different colour in here. There's certainly an awful lot of yellow at the moment, but it's good, it's good. The yellows are a bit thin on the ground at times. I think I may have overthought the yellow, because I like yellow so much. I may have been earmarking, oh, there's another yellow one, I'll have that. You know, and now I've got like a surplus of yellows, shall we say. But I've certainly got more than enough now. I mean, if that one moves over here, and we've got the big Brassia, Friedrichianum, the wedding bells up the back. Mr. Frilly up here, Senilli, my species Tolumnia. Gorgeous little blooms those are. That's coming out. And what else we've got? Harveyanums out as well, showing off the frilliness. So yeah, there's a fair old bit of yellow around at the moment. Distinctly lacking on the red front. I mean, I have bought a few Cattleyas over the last season that are red, and I have got some that are deep enough orange to be classed as virtually red, but not the deepest of reds. But yeah, I'm very thin on the ground with the old reds, but hoping to make up for that. So yeah, first time with the sprayer watering all the pots, and I'm impressed with the minimal amount of time and effort required. So it will get used, you know, it will get done, but I will try and maintain the fact that every so often I really do need to pick the plants up. I really do need to do bug checks and things like that. The alternative, unfortunately, knowing that there are bugs lurking in here, is a regime of systemic chemical sprays. You know, well, I'd rather spot treat. You know, if there's a particular plant, because it is only a couple of plants, it's not like they're everywhere. You know, it'd be nicer to just look at that one plant and deal with it as I go past it, rather than spray the whole shelf, just in case. You know, it's a bit OTT really. But that's to be thought of down the line. I must sort some of these kikis out as well. These are getting flipping enormous. The Hercoglossum kiki here is that big, and then there's another one up here. It's just starting to open its leaves. It's already got roots, so there's two Hercoglossum kikis to come off. And what I usually do is, if they've got a good root system like this one has, I would pot that straight in a pot. But with this one, I'd probably stand that with the root tips in a glass of water for a week or so, just to acclimatise those aerial roots, to get used to having some moisture around them, but not actually soaking wet, if you see what I mean, and sort of acclimatise them slowly. So where's something else that's got loads of kikis? Oh yeah, this one up here, which is Findlayanum. This has got some good kikis coming on now. The leaves are opening. Roots are starting to push out. There's probably, what have we got? 1, 2, 3. There's at least 4, maybe 5 of those. So that's you know, I look at kikis at the moment as plants for other people to bring on. A lot of my plants, dendrobiums, were very young plants when I've got them. I've had to grow them on to get them to where they are now. So you know, pass a bit on to others. Looks like this Shelob Tolkien's nearly righted itself, because I staked these two. This one won't. These blooms are pointing at the sky. They were already open when I staked it, so they've gone beyond adjustments. But these buds looks like they've settled themselves into a more upright position. I mean, that one's upright, so's that one, which probably means these are, and this one's a little bit sideways. But that's not bad. And then these will open up upright as well. So yeah, this is going now, but as this one goes, this one's coming, so that will replace it. And on this one I got a nice strong new growth coming, so that's good. I've noticed with this type, this is a Farmeri Griffithianum cross, you tend to get 3 to 4 spikes per growth, but not all at once. You know, I've noticed that some of the growths will mature and then they'll have a bloom spike, and then they wait for quite a while, and then they may have another one or possibly 2. But they do tend to go in, they don't produce 3 or 4 spikes all at once on the same cane. I've never had more than 1 per cane at a time, but I've had some canes that, you know, have pushed out their 4th spike over the years, not all at once obviously. So they just keep coming when they please. This doesn't seem to have a blooming season, this particular cross. It blooms when it feels like it. That's just how it goes. Now, unfortunately, Hercoglossum's nearly gone now, but it's lasted a nice long time. I think there's still a few buds to come, but we're getting very thin on the ground now. But it's lasted well. You know, each bloom only has its set time. But the overall blooming period's been very good this year. A little bit more staggered than normal, but it's still one of my favourite ones. When you look up towards it, the camera probably doesn't do it justice, but when you look from underneath, you get that really dark centre, and they almost glow in the light. They look a gorgeous looking bloom from underneath, and yet from above they don't look much at all. Has to be viewed from underneath. Oh, so delicate. It's been one of my favourites for a long time, and it will be difficult for anything to go past this. Had this plant donkey's years and it always performs well, and over the last few years it has produced kikis as well, so you know, other people get to have a piece. But yeah, so I don't think there's anything else. Oh, let's just get this down while I'm here because it's right under my nose, practically in my hair. This is my Miltonia Queen Anne, I think, just check, Queen Anne. And these two spikes are pushing on at quite a rate now. So that's both new growths, have both produced a nice spike. And that's a first time bloomer, and that was seriously infected with the dreaded F. So the back end of that plant is no good. Yeah, but it pushed out one new growth after treatment, which matured, and then it pushed out two more. And both of them are now blooming, and we have a shed load of roots. It can be done. Really looking forward to those. Those are quite a dark colour. From pictures, I haven't seen them before, but yeah. Two to come. Miltonia. Don't get many Miltonias in bloom in here. It's probably because I haven't got many. But that's going to be good. I'm really looking forward to that. Right. See you next time then. Other things to do today.